you considering divorce? Are you dealing with it now? Are you on the other side and not sure what comes next? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Divorce Do's and Don'ts Show with your host, Lisa C. Decker.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa Decker. I'm your show host. I am the founder and CEO of Divorce Money Matters and DivorceTown USA, the sponsor that brings you this show. I'm also a certified divorce financial analyst and real estate collaboration specialist in divorce and a certified amicable divorce professional. So we're really happy to have you here today. We have a wonderful guest. If you've been following us this month, you know that we've been exploring the do's and don'ts of the legal part of the divorce process. And last week we talked about how to choose the right family attorney. And this week we're going to take you a step further. Once you get the perfect attorney, how do you keep them? And communication is a big part of that. So we're going to sit down today with family law attorney and DivorceTown USA member Traci Weiss. Traci, come on camera here and make sure I'm pronouncing your last name properly. How do we say that? Tell everyone. Weiss. All right. Very good. So Traci, we're going to be discussing the do's and don'ts of the attorney-client relationship, and we are very happy because you've been practicing law in Georgia for over 20 years. And after being a partner at a larger firm for several years, you recently started your own firm, the Weiss Family Law Firm. So you can have a more client-focused practice. And you are also a member of DivorceTown and the Amicable Divorce Network. And you are a certified amicable divorce professional. You've also been named a super lawyer numerous times. And I love this part. Traci is a wife and mom to 3 children, 3 dogs, 4 turtles, and a cockatoo. I am a pet fan, so that's great. Welcome to the show today, Traci. So happy to have you here.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm so happy to be here today. And I watched the show with Paya Kozlo, and I'm so glad to get to come right after that because I think those topics go really well together, hand in hand.
Yes, and last week we talked to Paya Kozlo about the importance of selecting the right attorney for your case up front and how to do that. And now Traci is going to follow up with that on how to keep the relationship going in the best manner possible and make sure that you're a good client and that you've selected the right attorney and you're all on the same page. So let's dive right in here, Traci. As long as someone hires a good attorney, why does it matter whether or not they have a good relationship with them?
Well, for starters, in order to have the best representation that you can get from your attorney, they need to be able to perform 2 main roles. So the first role is educating you about and helping you navigate through the divorce process. And then they also need to be able to help you identify and work toward realistic goals. But in order for them to be able to do that, it's really, really important for you to be able to trust them so you can be open and honest with them about all the different things that are going on in your case. If you don't feel comfortable being open and honest with them, it's really hard for them to represent you effectively or to protect you in the event of any negative issues in your case.
Okay, so it is vitally important that open communication goes both ways because that's one of the biggest things that I've heard that family law attorneys are reported to the bar for is not having good communication. So by being open and honest with your attorney about what you're seeking and them being responsive and in your case, like starting your own firm here so you can have more of that communication, it's vitally important. I love that. So how do you get started with a successful to build a successful attorney-client relationship? I love that.
And I'll speak to that cartoon there. We'll come back to that in a minute, but making sure you don't get caught in a bad situation in court eventually. the attorney-client relationship these days actually starts before anybody even contacts the lawyer. So there's so much good information available online now that most people are going online and doing research before they even reach out to an attorney. And so before they make that first contact, they already usually feel pretty comfortable that somebody's qualified. They've looked at where they went to school, what kind of organizations they are in, where they practice, things like that, how many years they've been practicing, awards they've gotten. They already know all of that. So what levels the playing field, at that point, what helps them decide who to go to often is based on the more personal things that they're reading about or from the potential attorney online. Even if somebody has a recommendation, they're referred to somebody by somebody they trust, they're still going to go online first, 9 times out of 10, and say, oh, I don't know, let me look them up first. And so, you usually can get a pretty good idea about an attorney's personality before you even meet them, from their biography or from some of the recommendations, the reviews that are online, videos like this, things like that, where you have a pretty good idea. And it's important that aside from your attorney just being qualified, they need to be a good fit for you. They need to be somebody that you're comfortable with, because, going through divorce, you're dealing with the most intimate things in people's lives. And if you don't feel comfortable sharing that and opening up, your attorney's not going to be able to do the best job for you. And you want somebody that's going to be, able to be open and honest back with you. So once you have found somebody that looks like they can be a good fit for you, the next step is the actual consultation. And I usually set aside about 2 hours for a consultation where we can have some time talking about background, building a rapport, getting to know each other a little bit before we delve into, the personal issues, the legal issues, talking about the different options, the different processes that are available for divorce and things like that. Some of the more amicable cases maybe don't need as much time for that initial consultation, especially if they've worked with you first, because then there's, they come in already knowing a lot of information that otherwise people a lot of times haven't even really thought about, of, what a marital balance sheet involves and things like that. So, you want to come in and really be honest, be comfortable, walk away feeling like, okay, I didn't feel like I had to pretend or that I was being judged or that there was anything I couldn't share with that lawyer. And hopefully by the time that consultation happens, it's really more of a confirmation that what people found online about you is right and that it's going to be a good fit. And it's really the things that people need to be able to feel when they are talking with their lawyer. They need to feel like they can open up. They need to feel like they can be heard. And they need to have somebody that's going to communicate with them in a way that fits their needs.
Absolutely. Communication is so important in everything in life. And in this juncture of your life, if you're facing divorce, you definitely want to select the right attorney, because you do not want to end up divorcing your divorce attorney too. And that happens a lot of times, and that's traumatic. It's bad enough going through divorce. It's difficult enough. Don't want to have that animosity, those bad feelings with you and your attorney. So it is vital. Everything you've said is absolutely correct. I'm going to add a couple of things, and then you can share your thoughts on that. But Traci, a lot of times when people do look at websites and of attorneys, one of the telltale signs of, if you're looking for an attorney who's going to help in an amicable, settlement-minded type way, look for that language. If you need an attorney who is going to be all in, a bulldog, go after your spouse for everything, look for that language. Look for someone who really likes to do trial work, but understand the difference between the two, because a trial attorney, a litigator who loves to get on the stage of the courtroom, you're going to pay for that. That comes at a tremendous cost. And even if you're not completely amicable with your spouse, taking the amicable approach is important, because professionals that work in the network, I'm talking about the Amicable Divorce Network that we work very closely with here at DivorceTown. They will work together as a team to bring you and your spouse the best results. Whereas if you're in a traditional litigated divorce, sometimes you have attorneys who've lost cases to each other, and there's some egos involved on that. I've been caught in between that with clients at times. So, know what you're getting into and know the right questions to ask. And I will put this out there as well. And then we're going to get back to asking Traci some more questions. But at Divorce Money Matters, I have created a list there in the Divorce Financial Fitness Kit. And it's a list of questions that you can ask attorneys. And you're not going in to grill someone. You just want to know what questions you might not know to ask. So there's 50 questions there. Go over the list, see what applies to you, and come prepared. That's the best way to start that relationship. Okay. You have any follow-up to that, Traci?
Yeah, actually, I think that kind of leads into the idea that, it's important whether you're going down the litigation path or the amicable divorce path, or hopefully not one before the other. It's important for people to be reasonable and realistic in their expectations. That's one of the things that I like about the amicable cases, because people are coming in already understanding, I think, that part of it, that, let's just be realistic. Let's put our heads together. Let's figure this out. Most divorce attorneys, we can litigate if we need to, but I tend to think, and I think a lot of judges feel this way too, that in such personal sensitive issues and matters, that the more people can work out directly, that they can negotiate and agree to, the easier it is to live under those things, the easier it is to stay friendly going forward. That's better for everybody, and it also saves a lot of money. Going to court is expensive. And then you're leaving the most important things in your life up to somebody who is just seeing a snapshot of your life, and you're hoping they're seeing the snapshot that you want. So, yes, it's important to have somebody who's capable of doing that if you have to go there. But hopefully, and that's where I like the Amicable Divorce Network, because then you can usually trust that both sides are going to be getting advice that is about being reasonable and having realistic expectations, and focusing on the more amicable ways to resolve things, instead of how to just make it unnecessarily ugly, or fight over things that are not realistic in the first place.
Truth. And, that's another important point that you made there about communicating with your attorney. What are your desires, and are they realistic? Sometimes people come and they have very unrealistic expectations, and to be able to get someone who's going to tell you up front what is possible, what is realistic, is very affirming. It may not be what you want to hear, but they're doing you a favor telling you that up front. Sometimes I've seen attorneys tell clients whatever they want to hear. I'll whatever, what do you want? I'll go for that. And it may not be realistic. It may not be possible. So that's why combining the legal and the financial and the emotional support is so important as your three-legged stool, your initial team going into a divorce, because they're going to be all of us working for your benefit and providing that voice of reason and what is realistic and what's not, and giving you some coping tools and mechanisms. So what are some of the other challenges to having a successful attorney-client relationship? I think we have another slide here.
Well, that's it. Hopefully your lawyer is going to help you navigate away from some of those challenges, and come out in one piece. Some things, for example, I think are clients who are not practicing self-care. Divorce, even in an amicable situation, depression, anxiety, things like that tend to go hand in hand with it. And it's hard. We have to recognize, and our clients need to recognize, we don't have a magic wand. We can't repair the relationship. We can't give the case better facts. We can't make the other side be more reasonable. We can give them the best advice about their situation and help them navigate it through the best way possible. hopefully our client is telling us everything, and we're in a position where we can tell them the good and the bad too. You know, the one thing you don't want, especially if you're not able to reach an agreement and settle everything in your case, you don't want the first time that you get a reality check or tough love in your case to come from the judge. You know, if you have a good relationship with your lawyer, you know, I tell my clients, like, one thing you can count on me with is I'm going to give it to you straight. You might not like everything I have to say, but I'm saying it because I care, and because I believe it, that, you know, this could be an issue, and I want you to have realistic expectations and to understand the process and how things work, and let that inform your decisions with what types of evidence you want to use, what types of witnesses you might want to bring in, or what type of negotiations you want to have, and, you know, how friendly you want those negotiations to be. If you're going to be hostile and aggressive to the other side, they're going to be hostile and aggressive right back. That's not going to help anybody. You know, if you're going to be reasonable and realistic, you know, lead by example, and hopefully they come along. If you can get through the whole process with your integrity still intact, you're ahead of the game, because you can't buy that. You don't get that back if you give it up in the divorce. You know, you want to hold on to yourself, to your identity, figure out the things that are the most important to you, and also figure out the things that maybe are going to be the most important to your spouse. So, you know, you can kind of figure things out. Other challenges are going back to the self-care. You know, a lot of times people benefit, most people, I think, going through divorce benefit from having some therapy, seeing a counselor, having somebody that's neutral that can just help them process their feelings through the divorce. And it's great, you know, to go and vent to your family and friends and things like that, and to have a support system, but they serve a very different role, and they're not likely, they're going to be the ones telling you what you want to hear. Your lawyer needs to be the one telling you what you need to hear. And then the counselor can be the one telling you what just helps you have coping skills to get to the other side of this, and, you know, as your best self. Sometimes people will get nervous and think, oh, am I going to look bad? Is that going to reflect badly on me if I'm going to therapy? Or maybe I have a mental health diagnosis. And I tend to compare that to, like, if you have a broken foot. You know, if you have a broken foot and you go to the doctor and they put a cast on it, or they take x-rays or whatever they're doing, that's a responsible way to take care of yourself. If you don't do those things and you're hobbling around in pain and you're not asking for help and you're not going to get treated, people are going to question your ability to make good decisions. They're going to question your ability to take care of yourself. And if there are kids involved, they're really going to question your ability to take care of kids. So mental health is the same. So if you have a mental health condition and you're getting treated for it, that's the responsible, healthy thing to do. And it's not just good for your divorce, it's good for you, and it's good for your family. And so, you know, I think sometimes people think they have to strategize. Everything has to be a strategy move in the divorce. No, it has to be how to find your best self and keep yourself, you know, in the best place possible, so that when you're on the other end of this, you're starting a new chapter instead of, you know, looking backward in a sad way.
I love that.
People that I see after a divorce is over, you know, if I bump into them a year later, they're in a better place. And sometimes it's pushed them to find happier things that maybe they didn't realize they even needed.
That's great advice, Traci. Wow. You know, you're spot on. You should not use your attorney as a therapist. This is not the person you want to go and vent to every time you have something you need to get off your chest. First of all, it's very expensive doing that. And secondly, you're not equipped for a lot of that, right? You're not a therapist. You're going to listen, but you may not have the tools. That I don't have the tools. I'm your financial neutral, right? So we can be kind and gentle and listening and supportive, but we may not be able to give you all that you need. So a therapist or even a divorce coach, right? If you're afraid of being labeled as something, a divorce coach is a wonderful way to get the support you need and get through the process. So There's other ways to deal with things. And I also want to mention what you said about family and friends. They can be very well meaning, but they are hurting too. And sometimes they will fan the flames and make things worse. So be very careful who you're talking to and what you're sharing. Sometimes those things can get back to the other side as well and make things worse. So this is sage advice, folks, that you're getting here. Traci is really sharing some deep thoughts and very valuable information. So what other tips do you have that may be helpful for people getting ready to start the divorce process?
Well, to piggyback off of what you were just saying, I think you need to be very careful not to compare your situation to anybody else's.
Oh, good.
Every divorce, every family is unique. All of the issues are unique. And, when people are talking about their marriages or their divorces, it's kind of like going on social media where people are just putting the best parts forward, the parts they want you to see, but you're not going to see all of it. You're not going to see behind the curtain. And what their outcome is may have fit their situation, but no, there's no one size fits all. It's going to be a different outcome for you for different reasons. So if you are constantly comparing, well, so and so got lifetime alimony, or something like that, where something something extreme, and you're like, well, shouldn't I get that too? Well, there had to probably be a pretty extreme reason for that difference. And if you're focused on what's going on in somebody else's life, even when you end up with a good result, you're going to feel disappointed because you're going to think it was supposed to be something else, but that's not your life and not your family. So focus on what your needs are, what's going to work for your family. What are the most important things that, above all else, as long as I get that, I'll be okay, and everything else is icing. Be realistic with yourself too. Also remember that everyone in the divorce is human. So that's your spouse, your attorney, their attorney, the experts, the mediators, the judge, and most importantly, you're human. And there are going to be some days that are going to be more challenging than others. And that's okay. So what's most important is that you build a good team around yourself so that, no matter what is going on, you can trust that you've got the right people helping you, that, you know what's going on, you understand your rights, and you are getting the help that you need to get you the best outcome possible. Another thing to think about is to remind yourself, and I touched on this a little bit earlier, divorce doesn't need to be ugly. It's not television. It's not the movies. Ugly divorces are the most expensive divorces. Most lawyers don't want people to pay for our kids to go to college. They want you to keep your money for your own kids to go to college. If you can focus on you keeping yourself reasonable, being kind to the other side, even if they're not doing that back, leading by example. Sometimes relationships just don't work and there's nobody's fault. Or even if you feel like there is somebody to blame, that's not going to make it any better. What's going to make it better is getting through it efficiently, peacefully, getting some peace and structure back in your life. Hopefully by the end, you and your former spouse can be in the same room together peacefully, hopefully without that stressing you out. And, the goal would then be to be able to start your futures, on separate paths maybe, but being happy for each other. And if you have children, being good role models for your kids about how you can get through these challenges and, still have yourself intact and have a positive outlook for the future.
Absolutely. And I love what you said, about being role models for the children, because they are watching through all of this and they will understand, even though they may not say something at whatever age they're at, but they will understand what's going on to some degree. And they will thank you if you've done the right thing, and they may resent you if you've been the one driving the animosity and making things worse. And so, sometimes people get divorced and it is very ugly in the beginning, but I know people who have, after a while, just left it behind for the benefit of their children. You don't want your children to be the ones who are upset to have a wedding or a graduation because they can't enjoy the moment because their parents are still fighting and acting like they were when they were married. So, think about that. You can't control your spouse, but you can control yourself, and your children should be front and center of all negotiations and all thoughts. So is there anything you want to finish up with here? We've got like 30 seconds, Traci.
I think just, communicate your needs, communicate in a way that works for you, and listen to your lawyers, even especially when they're telling you the things you don't want to hear, because they're not doing that for fun. They're doing that because they care.
And I will say that for your financial advisors too. Sometimes there's just not enough to split the pot and make life the way it was before the divorce, folks. That's the reality of having two households, and that can be a hard pill to swallow, even among high wage earners. We find that just, living beyond means to begin with, and then it's going to be even more so when you're dividing up that same pot and having to support two households. So don't shoot the messengers. Listen, we're here to help you. Traci, why don't you, I want to mention Traci Weiss can be found at DivorceTownUSA.com, but why don't you also give folks your contact information?
Okay, you can also find me at www.weissfamilylaw.com. The phone number is 770-727-0533. And you can email me at traci@weissfamilylaw.com, TRACI. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here today. This was a great conversation, and we appreciate you very much. But before we go, folks, I'm going to tell you about a few free offers that we have for you here to help you through your divorce. You'll see the DivorceTown roadmap here, which you can find at DivorceTownUSA.com. And it includes an ebook, which explains the different options that you see and helps you understand which one may be best for you and your family, and outlines other professionals or resources you may need to access along the way. We also offer many free articles, videos, and other resources, all free, to help you have a saner, savvier, money-saving divorce. As well, the DivorceTown Marketplace, also found at DivorceTown USA, has been designed to bring you some of the best books, products, and resources that we found through the years to help you with your divorce so you can thrive long after. Featuring the various sections that you see here, the Marketplace has something for everyone at any stage of the divorce process. Now, DivorceTown USA also sponsors a virtual divorce help and hope support group through meetup.com, and we meet once or twice a month via Zoom. Meeting dates and times are always posted at DivorceTown USA in the events section. At Divorce Money Matters, where I help folks with their financial needs, you can download the free Divorce Financial Fitness Kit I mentioned earlier. And I created this to help you get better organized and take more control of your money matters during your divorce. The kit includes an ebook, a working Excel spreadsheet of all the documents you need to gather, and a list of 50 must-ask questions for when you're ready to meet with a family law attorney. Now, next week, we are going to close out March Madness as we focus on coaching. And no, we're not talking about basketball. Wealth advisor and financial coach Glenn Crawford, also a DivorceTown USA member, will help us better prepare for our individual post-divorce future so we can all live our best financial life. Now, we hope you found this episode of the Divorce Do's and Don'ts show helpful, and we look forward to continuing to see you all next week and every week as we continue improving the way the world divorces one family at a time.